one of the things he loves the most about her is that she just hasn't Googled him. And he knows this for a fact because she asks so many questions. Because, like, why would she even ask that if she, like, already knew the Google answer? So, like, that's the proof. It's like, Harry, could you be so dumb? Like, how ignorant of you? For a number of reasons, she's asking. One, so that she can hear you explain the things that have happened in your life. If she's interested in you at all, who would want to read about it on Google, and then that would be good enough, right? Like, if I was going to go out with a guy and he was famous, I wouldn't, like, rely on what Google told me. Like, who wants to hear that? Like, I want to hear your stories from your voice, okay? So that's one reason. But the other reason, too, is, of course she's going to ask because she can't let you think she already knows everything about you. That would upset you, right? And so he is... He's probably already told her throughout this, you know, how much he's hated being a royal and how much he's hated the press and how much they have lied about him his whole life. So if she were to talk about things that clearly had come from newspaper articles, she'd push him away. So of course she's not going to mention. But he, like, totally buys he buys that she hasn't looked him up. And that shocks me because he's looking her up. He's Googling her. He said he has. So, like, that would be a common human response. I'm going out with somebody who is mega famous. At least she is, not him. She's going out with somebody who is incredibly well known. You know, you wouldn't look the guy up if you'd never heard of him, and everyone's like, oh my gosh, you're going out with Prince Harry? Now, none of us believe she didn't know who he was. None of us believe she wasn't orchestrating this relationship from the get-go. How did she even know Violet? Anyway, so we all believe that she had definitely Googled him. But even if she hadn't, say like it was all super organic how they met. Once you find out that he's super famous, you're going to tell me that you wouldn't be like, wait, who is this guy? Right? That would just be human nature. Okay, so he says that since she asks a lot of questions, that's obvious that she doesn't know anything about him. Anyway, he says that as soon as he gets done laying some flowers on Mummy's grave, that same day that she happens to be there in town, he runs right over and goes through the secret entrance at Soho House and runs into Meghan's arms. And just the way he writes about this, I'm just like, okay, 100% he didn't write any of this book, but especially the part about when he meets Meghan, it is not written by a man. No way this was written by a man. This entire portion was handed to the ghost writer from Meghan's hand, off of Meghan's computer. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is not written by a man. This is how he writes about that fourth time of meeting each other. All went according to plan. After I'd met the friend and navigated a sort of maze through the bowels of Soho House, I finally reached Meg's door. I knocked and suspended breathing while I waited. The door flew open. That smile. Her hair was partly covering her eyes. Her arms were stretching out for me. She pulled me inside and thanked her friend in one fluid motion and slammed the door quickly before anyone saw. I want to say we hung a do not disturb sign on the door, but I don't think there was time. Like, her hair was partly covering her eyes, her arms were reaching for me. What are these details? Not anything a man would say. This is all just so, like, this is so clearly somebody who spent from 1995 to 2003 watching every rom-com that ever came out. He says that morning after, you know, their romp at Soho House, they phoned room service, and it was just so annoying because there wasn't anywhere to hide when room service showed up, and, you know, there wasn't, like, he couldn't climb under the bed. There wasn't like a closet or an armoire to hide in, and so he could do nothing but just hide under the duvet, the fluffy duvet, and like lie flat. There's not a bathroom in this suite? Okay, so there he is hiding under the blankets this whole time when he could have just ducked into the bathroom. God forbid we use our brains. And it was really annoying because the guy who delivered the food was a hotel assistant manager who like loved Meghan and then wanted to sit and chit chat forever. And blah, blah, blah. He won't stop talking. And Harry is like, there's 2 breakfasts here. Can't you tell that she's with somebody? Like, get out. But the guy just couldn't put 2 and 2 together. He didn't notice the prince-shaped lump under the duvet. Anyway, finally she gets out. Or finally the guy leaves. They like die laughing. It's just so funny. Look at this funny little predicament. We're just so fun. Aren't we fun? You know, you, me, the prince, the actress, like having to like be so silly to hide who you are. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. There's so much more to get through. So the silliness continues when they decide that they need to go to the grocery store because Harry has invited a bunch of his friends, or not a bunch, but 3 friends over to his house to Knotcott. And he has agreed to cook dinner, but actually there's no groceries at the house, so they need to go to the grocery store. And so, of course they can't go in together. What a wild idea to go into a grocery store together. You know, her being who she is, so famous because of Suits. So fresh, so fun, so famous. And so he says that they both go in disguise. She's wearing a flannel shirt, a bulky overcoat, a beanie. But he's just shocked that no one recognizes her. I mean, like, Suits is a huge show. Like, how in the world can she disguise that famous face? But somehow she manages to do it, even despite the fact that, quote, plenty of Brits watch Suits. You guys tell me, do you watch it? Did you watch it? Did you know who she was? Let me tell you, no American knew who she was. So anyway, he says that she was just so conspicuous because she had these suitcases and Soho bags and all this stuff in her trolley, in her little grocery cart. And it was like, he thought that looked weird, and so he thought probably people were noticing her, but somehow they managed not to catch everybody's eyes. Imagine that. He's over there equally anonymous. He grabs a basket and starts walking casually. And, you know, they're passing each other, shooting each other these little smoldering looks. She's like, you know, being really, really sexy every time she walks past him, you know, just being ridiculous. And all very saucy, all just like the little, you know, the little playful glances, the little sly smiles. She's saying that she's gonna make some roasted salmon from a recipe that she ripped out of Food and Wine. And so they start making a grocery list with the other things they'll need. She said she was going to go find a baking sheet. I guess he's got nothing to cook with, even despite the fact that he tried to tell us he made all his own meals. And he's supposed to go find parchment paper, but he doesn't know what the F parchment paper is. So she's like trying to talk him through it on the other side of the aisle. Like she scoots over some stuff and like telling him through the aisle. It's right up there, right? Oh, you almost there, right there. And like, they're just so charmed by their charmingness. Like, they just love who they are in this moment so much. They just think that they're so wildly fun. Like, look at us being so fun. So, somehow they manage to con everyone in the grocery store into not realizing who they are. And then they, you know, make a mad dash and meet his bodyguards, you know, who are parked in some special little spot, blah, blah, blah.